Here's a Micronta branded digital clock from 1974. These would have most likely been sold in Radio Shack stores and catalogs, though I haven't been able to find an original advertisement for this clock, and there's unfortunately no model number on it. It's just marked with a serial number there, A18542. Unlike most digital clocks that were being sold in the United States in the 1970s, this one's fairly attractive, at least in my opinion. It's got a nice black and silver color combo, which is still quite popular today. It made a comeback. Most clocks and electronics from this time period were, wood grain boxes. So this one broke the mold, and perhaps that's why it's seemingly quite rare. I haven't seen another example of this clock. Besides the unusual design, what attracted me to this clock was the fact that it's marked Made in USA, which by 1974 was quite rare for electronics. Most digital clocks from this time period were built in Hong Kong or Japan. And it also has a seconds display option, which can be turned on and off with this switch here. Seconds displays were disappearing from digital clocks by 1974, so when you see a clock that has a seconds display, you know it's a fairly early one. This clock also has a fairly unusual system for setting the time. Pressing this button here sets the hours, pressing this button here sets the tens of minutes, and pressing them both together sets the ones of minutes. It's a little unintuitive, but they were nice enough to mark it on there. Not all clocks have setting instructions like that. Now without further ado, I'm going to power the clock up and you guys can see what it looks like lit up. As you just saw, the clock came up with 12 midnight and it came up stopped. To get it to run again, you have to press both of the set buttons together. Pressing them individually does not start the clock. You can see that the seconds display is of the type used in early LED watches, where a bunch of small individual dials are visible, as opposed to the larger blocks of the hours and minutes display. I think this one looks quite nice lit up. It's at just the right brightness too. Setting this clock is pretty easy, unlike some other ones from the time period. So first, let's move the hours forward to some arbitrary time. You'll notice that once I crossed 12, the PM indicator light came on. The alarm switch is currently in the run position. I need to move it to set to set that up. The alarm also comes up at 12 midnight, which is nice. The time is currently set to 1:01, so I'm going to move the alarm time to 1:02. I just set the alarm to 1:04 and moved the switch back to the run position. The current time is 1:02. Now to turn the alarm on, you just lift this switch here, and you can see it displays a nice little orange flag to indicate that the alarm is on. There's no electronic indication that the alarm is on, so that was a nice addition. Okay, the alarm's about to go off. It's not super loud, but it's loud enough. I think that would wake me up. The clock does have a 10-minute snooze feature, which you activate like that, but I don't feel like waiting around for 10 minutes for that to go off. I previously tried moving the time forward after pressing the snooze, but that seemed to have prevented it from going off again. This clock is very easy to take apart, so I'm going to show you guys the inside. After I unplug it, I'm going to remove these two screws, which will let me take the front cover off. It really doesn't get any easier than that. I think just about every other clock I have is more difficult to disassemble than this one. So once those two screws are out, you just pull the front off like that. It comes off cleanly with no wires or anything else attached to it. And you can get a nice view of the 3 circuit boards inside. Most of the guts are on the middle one. This bottom one has 4 of the switches and the power supply circuit. The top board has a transistor to drive the speaker and the 2 remaining switches. The heart of this whole thing is this Mostec MK50250N, which was apparently assembled in Malaysia and is dated 7427, which is the 27th week of 1974. There's also this chip here, which I believe drives the 7-segment displays. It's a ITT 500-5D, dated 7409. This clock was working when I got it, but I changed the filter capacitor because it was around 45 years old, so it was time for it to be replaced. I also changed this little 10 millifarad capacitor up here. I'm not sure what purpose that one serves. The hours and minutes displays are National Semiconductor ones. They don't have any markings on them as to what model they are. Also unmarked is this little 3-digit display here for the seconds. Only 2 of those digits are used. You'll notice it has quite a few discrete transistors. Like all the other early digital clock chips, it does not have the current capacity to drive the LEDs directly. It has to drive them through either transistors or a display driver like that. This clock uses a mix of the two. This sticker was inside when I got it. I assume it's some sort of a quality control thing. I see 2 initials on there and some stars. The plus and minus marks were from me when I was replacing the capacitor. If any of you know what this clock sold for, or have any original advertisements for it or anything like that, I'd love to hear about it. Thanks for watching.